Today I got for you the review of the Nintendo 3DS. I can assure you that this does not appear to be black in front of me. It seems to me it's either something with the reflective quality of this case or whatnot, but for some reason it appears to be black or a lot darker than it really is. So just to let you know right from the get-go on that. I've had this roughly about half a week now, I want to say something like that. I think I got it back on Monday or so, something like that. So I've had a little bit of time to go through full round with this and see what all it's about. As far as games I've gotten for it, got the Street Fighter 4, got the Asphalt 3D, and the Ridge Racer as well. The other games did not seem very appealing to me. Selection of games I thought was fairly limited. I know there's Super Monkey Ball, saw some weird RPG never heard of, or at least it looked like an RPG. And I think Rayman 3D, never really been a fan of that. There was some sub game, and all the other ones pretty much are a blur to me. And of course there was Pilot Wings, which from what I understood is still pretty boring. There's really nothing much going on with that. It's fairly quick to beat, only a couple of hours. So that's what I have on it. There's a little backstory. So if I tilt this up, you can see that it's actually the blue version of it. And as far as the outside features, we got two cameras on the outside part of it, which you can see there, kind of right where the light is shining brightest. That's a as far as I can tell, an external facing microphone. We have volume controls on it. SD card slot comes with a 2 gig Toshiba memory card slot. You have your standard shoulder buttons, game slot. The 3DS games are slightly different in design from the normal DS games, as you can tell by that notch. So you cannot put a 3DS game in a normal DS. But you can put a DSi game in this. The stylus is slightly different. It's smaller, but it telescopes out. If you go through do that, you see it telescopes out to become kind of like the same size as before. Pretty much when I use it, I just leave it like that, because I find that when I need to telescope it, I pretty much just have to use it for like a minute, if that. Something new, we have the standard charging adapter, and apparently it will work with the DS one. I haven't bothered to try it, but that's what I've heard. And then we have these two little connectors here. It actually has a dock that comes with 3DS. You can just set it in, it'll charge it. Basically 2 pins just jump out, hit the connector, charges. Pretty simple. A IR receiver port there. And I'm guessing they're trying to bring back the IR functionality. On the other side here, we have wireless switch, and the other one, if I turn around right side up, we have the 3D switch. We'll get into that in a little bit. So you can turn your wireless off, all that good stuff. Headphone jack is in the front, in the middle. We have the power light to indicate if the system's on, in sleep mode, low on power, all that good stuff. And the charging light. And as you can see, nothing really special about the back, covering up my serial number, but there is no slot for any Game Boy Advance games, as per usual. Have the sound off, so you cannot hear the little effects and whatnot as I talk, but as far as sound quality on it, we got speakers here, both sides. It sounds very, very good. It's, I think, better quality than the previous DS systems. Sounds a lot richer, and actually sounds like it's kind of more around you. Just felt the sound quality was a bit better than previously. We have another front-facing microphone, a single one. The two on the other side from before allows you to take 3D photos. Do a quick check on that. The 3D effect only appears on the top screen. I would turn the 3D effect on for you, but you're not going to see anything. If I turn it on, you can see the screen kind of flickered maybe a little bit to indicate that it went into that mode. but that's it. You won't see it because you don't have two cameras pointing directly at it at two different angles to get the effect. I'll go in a little bit more into 3D here in a second after I go over the controls. New to this one is the thumbstick button. Comparing this to a PSP, some people say it's better, some people say it's worse. I feel personally it's about the same. I think that both of them are horribly inaccurate as far as where I'm pointing, but I'm not a fan of these little thumb nubs anyway. I'm still old school. I prefer my D-pads. Standard A, B, X, Y, and a couple buttons down here. Select home, start. Home button, of course, takes you right back to your main DS home screen that you start up with. But some people I've seen try and use mine. They'll go through and touch this like that, thinking these are like kind of like iPods where you can just touch the button and it goes. These are actually clicking buttons. You have to actually press down on them. So keep that in mind. We'll go into the software after I talk about the screen. 3D screen. As far as with me, I don't really get headaches from looking at it. I can actually look at this for quite a while. I usually end up playing the thing for about an hour, hour and a half at a time when I really want to get into it. And I can pretty much keep the 3D effect on the whole time, doesn't bother me. But I find that I have to adjust it differently for each game. Street Fighter 4, for example, I usually end up keeping it about in the middle. Most of the games built into the DS, I keep it just a nudge above it completely being off and it looks fine. The racing games such as Asphalt 3D, I think I have to turn it up all the way for it to really look like it's any kind of 3D. And then what was that one? Ridge Racer. I kind of have to keep it about a little bit higher, not quite Street Fighter middle and not quite full on. It's weird how some of them are just needing different settings. I hold the game the same distance and whatnot. I don't know if that's just the software, how each one can implement the 3D effect or whatnot, but I just find I have to change it for each one. Other people I've had try to use the 3D effect, they have said, within just a couple minutes of them playing it, their eyes were hurting and all that good stuff. So, don't mind the horrible glare from air above light. And speaking of the glare, if you have glare on it, forget looking at the 3D. You will hurt your eyes. I have to actually go through, turn my chair at different angles, or find another place to sit to avoid glare on it. So I can't imagine trying to play this thing outside in the sun, because the screen itself is just so reflective. But that 3D, it's really hard to see it when it is on with the glare on it. It just hurts your eyes. So definitely don't try that outside in the sun. Another issue I've had with the 3D effect is if, like Street Fighter 4 here, it's one of those games that's a little intense. You're going to be kind of moving your hands unintentionally a little bit to the side, kind of like what I'm doing with this camera here, like that. A little bit just like that. The 3D effect will go on and off. As far as the range of vision for it, pretty much I can tilt it almost any degree back and I'll get the 3D effect. Start tilting it up, it loses it pretty quickly. But just a little tilt like that there, that would lose it. And that there, that would lose it. So you have to pretty much keep it right within that range. If you start getting a little bit tilt like that, you start seeing two images, and it's just not good in that regard. But when you look at it straight on, kind of like what we're looking at with the camera here, the 3D effect is very nice, beautiful. It would be something nice to watch 3D movies on, I think, but as far as the gaming, I find that games with a lot of movement like Street Fighter 4, where you're going to be kind of really into it. You're moving back and forth a little bit. At least old school gamers do. You're going to find the 3D effect is going to pretty much piss you off. You want to just turn it off when you get into online matches. The other games, like the racing games, there's very little movement going on. It's pretty much just nudging this little D-pad and nothing happens on that. So they look fine with the 3D on. Now, let's get into some of the software and stop my ramblings. Going through this first software icon we have here, this is just some standard little demo video. I got that through doing a system update on it. Useless for you to see because it has 3D effects. Obviously Street Fighter 4 is in the cartridge slot. The 3DS camera, it's pretty straightforward. It's a camera. It does the two cameras at once to take a picture to get 3D effect. Useless for me to show it to you on video because it's only one lens pointing straight. But the quality of the cameras, they are pretty much equivalent to, well, really ugly cell phone cameras, pretty much just put side by side, focused on something. It's not really all that great quality. But the little 3D gimmick does look nice if you put something together right. We fooled around with a few things, had a straw up. It could actually look like the straw was coming up out of the screen. It was kind of trippy. Took a couple pictures of the dog. It was alright. But you pretty much have to take a picture of something very stationary and be roughly about as far as this camera is to that DS, which is about 12 inches. And then you can see a 3D effect further away. It looks kind of stupid. Closer, you don't get it at all. So, next piece of software, we have the 3DS sound. Pretty much you just talk into a little microphone built in here, and you can play with little high-pitched noises, whatnot. Has little 3D effects for the icons. Pretty useless, I thought. Mii Maker, it's pretty much the same thing as making a Mii on the whatchamacallit, the Nintendo Wii. Works pretty much the same. Put stuff on, whatnot. Cool thing about this is you can generate QR codes for your Miis, put them up online, post them up on a website, generates images on the SD card, and you can save those onto your computer, all that, email them out, scan them in with your camera, and you got basically somebody else's Mii's on here without having to go through and try and configure them exactly. Some folks might recognize that I've pulled off online. If not, no biggies. And now we get to the next part of the Mii's, the Mii Plaza. And we also get to go into another feature here. Street Pass itself. Street Pass Mii Plaza. Pretty much how Mii Plaza works is you go through and have Mii's show up in your little computer area. No, it's not me pointing at the screen making no spin. It's the sound of my voice making it do that. But if you go through and have Street Pass on, you go walking up and down the street, supposedly. And if somebody else with another 3DS is passing you by, you can exchange Mii's, and their Mii will show up in here, and yours shows up in theirs, and you get another Mii. What does this do? Pretty much nothing. Built into the Mii Plaza, there's two games, Find a Puzzle Piece, or Puzzle Match, something like that they call it, and a mini game called Find Me, which pretty much allows you to use the Mii's that you collect to play the game as basically like little fighters or whatnot. It's a nifty little concept. It'd be really cool if it worked. The problem is I live in the middle of nowhere. I actually even went to the mall, walked around for like an hour. I went into not one, not two, but 4 different gaming stores. stayed in there probably for about 5 to 10 minutes on each one. Didn't get a single pickup on it. I did like 2,000 some odd steps that day. I definitely went around with it. That was just in the mall itself. Easy plus. That's another thing I'll get into, the step counter. Because that kind of ties into this too. As you might see up here, it goes to 4 and it goes to 412 with a little foot symbol next to it. At 412 is how many steps I basically took today. And for every 100 steps you take, you get one of these little coins. You'll see it go to a little gold coin icon. And that's called a play coin. And you can use the play coins in things like the Me Plaza. And go through basically higher heroes, or you can use them in other games like Street Fighter 4. You can convert play coins into figure points, I think they called it. And the figure points allow you to buy figurines, and then those figurines you put into basically getting figures in Street Fighter 4, which you use to build a team, which then integrates back with Street Pass. I know it sounds really complicated and overly layered, but that's how it works. So not only does this work with the Me Plaza, just walking around with Street Pass, but if you do it with Street Fighter 4, Asphalt 3D has it, and so does, what's its name? Can't think of it, Ridge Racer. Those all have the same thing. They all have support for Street Pass. The two racing games pretty much you just go through and you're passing people and you get to trade their fastest ghost times and whatnot. Nothing really spectacular with that. That's something that could be done online anyway. So my opinion on the whole Street Pass feature, it's a great idea, but you have to live somewhere that has a lot of people for this to be something used every day. In my case, it's not even feasible. Literally, the mall is easily a good 15 miles away, and there's pretty much nothing from here and there. Nothing. It's just country roads. So, I'm not going to just find someone walking down my street. What this would be good for is if you go to a lot of conventions, cons, something like that, or events where there's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to have one of these. Yes, that's a great idea. Great idea. Because I can put this thing on, I can walk through a convention, and I should be able to pick up people. But chances of me finding them during my actual day, not going to happen. If you're in like New York City, Washington, D.C., something like that, yeah, you'll probably pick up a few, but yeah, pretty useless otherwise. But good concept to make kids go out, do some exercise by walking. Don't know where they're going to walk to. Just our friend's house to play more games. The augmented reality games. It's a pretty cool feature. I think this is probably where the 3DS is going to really come in at. Because it's really the only system that does this, I think, in a good manner. Pretty much you put down a card on your table. As you can see, a little box guy pops up. And you basically tilt your camera around it. So if I was to do that, you could actually see things on it in different angles. You know, like this camera here you're looking through, and this is the card. You're going to see it at different angles, different things like that. Some parts of the game you actually have to go through, tilt up, you know, go back, tilt down, all that. So you're actually working with things as they're there. Unfortunately, there's only a couple basically games built into it to do that. Some target shooting, a pool-like game. Another one where you can go through and pose some figures of Mario, Samus, all that good stuff. But it's got some potential down the road. I hope they do more with that. Face Raiders pretty much is the same kind of concept. You turn on the... you start the game, and basically these little face guys are floating around, and you pick up your DS, you turn around, and you'd see some coming at you, and they do some stuff. They like blow out parts of the background, they fly in, and all that kind of cool stuff. So you're pretty much doing this with the 3DS, shooting things. That pretty much gives you the experience of what you would see doing it, just doing this with my camera. To give you an idea on it. But these little faces show up on it. Works really nice with the 3D turned on because you're pretty much keeping it straight in front of you the whole time. I tried playing around with trying to record this earlier. In my opinion, it's really hard to try and record it and play it. To show you the same thing with augmented reality games. Health and safety information. Pretty much children under 7 don't use this. At least with the 3D on. Activity log keeps track of your steps. Like I said before, has that up there. Steps get converted into play coins, which get used in other games for various trinkets and useless things. It also keeps track of how long you play games. So all that good stuff going into here. Give you a little bit of an idea of what some of the stuff it'll keep track of. Pretty much straight at the top doesn't show you anything until you go down here, and we're going to go ahead and look at daily records. And as you can see, just here, we did a little bit of quick walking around towards the end of the day here, and we have this nice little spike. We go to the previous day, go through, and you see basically what time of day you were walking, all that good stuff, how many steps you took. And ooh, look at this one. This was when I went to the mall. See the big step from where I went through. We're just walking through the mall, all that good stuff. And a little bit before, afterwards, where I had stopped at other places, and yeah. And then some other little walking throughout the day. I tried to use it, just going around the couple other locations. Pretty much got nothing on it. And Monday, pretty much the same thing, and yeah. So that's pretty much how that goes on that. Clicking onto playtime, it goes through and it tells you how long I'm spending on each game, when I'm doing it, what time of day, how long, how many minutes. I think this is pretty much just Nintendo's way of saying, look, we have a record here that you played this for like 7 hours straight. No wonder your eyes are jacked up. That's my opinion on that. But it's nice to be able to see that, yes, you spend way too much time gaming or not enough. If you click your home button, you can see this pretty much grays out. The little box comes up, tells you it's resumed software. You can go through and do other things as well when it's in resumed state. Pretty much just the icons up at the top here, which really are not showing up on this too well. I think it's just because of how bright it is. But we got a pencil icon here, lets you take notes. The little face icon shows you your friends online. The little green memo box looking thing is for taking notes. Not notes, viewing your notifications. And then the little globe is the web browser, which is not currently on the 3DS. That's coming in a future update. Close button. You can close it out. You also have a button for the manual. And hit the manual, opens an online manual for it. Hit the close button. It just closes out the software. You can pretty much only have one piece of software in a suspended state. You open up another one, it closes it out. Hitting any of these up here pretty much keeps the system, the software suspended, and you can switch back and forth between these and that. But if I opened up anything else, it closes it out. Download, play, pretty much just lets you put game titles between cartridges so you can play for friend. System settings, pretty much standard stuff, relatively boring. Only thing really notable in here, besides the normal, you can turn off web browsing, all that kind of stuff as usual, and deny access to getting onto the internet. It's got actually parental controls for turning off the 3D effect. So if you don't want your children to have the 3D effect at all, you can set it to off in here. They have to have the passcode to turn it back on. So they can turn this thing all the way up. They'll never, ever, ever get to see the glorious fun of the 3D if you turn off the parental controls. So this video has gone on way longer than I wanted. It's probably going to be like 25 minutes. So I apologize for that. Post haste. But that's pretty much it to the 3DS. There's a lot to go over on it, and try to just give a brief overview of it. Did a little quick text review a couple days after I got it, put up on the Comunjo site, and overall I'm happy with it. The price of $250 I think is still a little high, but when I look at how the technology works on this, you basically have 3 screens. You got this, you have the main screen, and there's basically the 3D screen, which is basically just another one laid on top of it, and as you adjust the slider, just kind of adjust them in and out with the layering on it. I don't think I went over how the 3D effect actually looks, in my opinion, but brief statement on that. It depends on each game. Some of them actually looks like the stuff's popping out. Others, it just looks like, I think the term is parallaxing effect, where it looks like somebody has multiple layers of glass, you know, layer after layer after layer, and pretty much just have drawings on them, and you're just basically viewing them at slightly different angles. Street Fighter 4 is a great example of that. It just looks like it's just drawings behind glass looks 3D at times during the little cutscenes between characters talking to each other. Other than that, no. The 3D videos on the Street Fighter 4, there are no real 3D videos. All the animated cutscenes are just 2D. That would have been nice for them to be in 3D. Would have been very cool. But that probably would have cost them money to make, so they didn't. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that. I'll probably do another video once the web browser comes out. Not expecting too much special with that. If anything, they might go through and do a really cool effect with the web browser where things will appear to be layered. So like images might appear to kind of stick up a little bit in there. That would be a cool effect, but I highly doubt it, because that would be a real pain to try and code. But if they do, it'll look cool, but it'd be pointless. So yeah, that's the quick review of the Nintendo 3DS. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you got any questions, feel free to comment. And until next time, I'll see you later.